Hi everyone, very excited today. We're very honoured to be speaking with Ole Dammegard. Maybe you haven't heard of him before, but he's led a very colourful life. He's done so much in this short time on Earth, and I really want to pass it over to you, Ole, because it's so varied, and I'm really interested in how you define yourself. So who is Ole, and what do you feel like what your life has been about, and maybe where it's heading?
Well, let's get to the deeper questions right away, shall we? It's how do I define myself? I define myself as a confused individual that ended up in this meat suit on this platform, may it be round or flat, where I've been trying to figure out what the heaven is going on, and where I've gone into the extremes of both sides, into duality, into the light. But to understand the light, it's not enough to just sit and say hum and just focus on eating the right stuff, but also look into what is stopping us from achieving what it is so many people are trying to, which is to become lighter, higher in frequency, and so on. And there's very clearly, once you start looking into that, there's a very distinct dark force that is trying to hold us down, that is committing a lot of, on sort of on a street level in this world, a lot of atrocities, a lot of horrendous stuff, the exact opposite of what I believe most of us who are maybe watching this podcast, we are sort of striving this direction, where God is the one with the up in the cloud with a beard, and the other force in duality, which would be the exact opposite, are striving that way. They're talking about God, but their God has sort of like eats with a fork, has like a red complexion and maybe a couple of horns. So it's sort of like to figure out what is going on and how. I don't understand a lot of these things. And so I've devoted my life to find out what's going on. And like my mother said before she died, still confused, but on a higher level. So I feel that I'm there as well. I'm still confused in certain areas. In other areas, I'm specialized like a laser light to become as efficient as possible to make good in this world, and that has taken me into the areas of top political assassinations, so-called alleged mass shootings, alleged false flag attacks, alleged terror attacks, these type of areas, but also into the darker areas of satanic. It's like I don't even want to go there because it's so dark. But some of us has to do it because a lot of people are getting hurt, especially children in this area, with child trafficking and a lot of dark stuff. So it's like the question is, should I focus on it or should I not? Should I sort of sit in front of a carrot and say home and make it better in every way I can for the carrot and myself and the surroundings? Or if I hear somebody cry for help, should I maybe leave my comfort zone and see if I can make a difference there? And so it's like, for me, it's very confusing because like, since it seems to me that we are co-creators of this reality, whatever that is, if it's a virtual reality of some kind of advanced computer game animation we're in. I don't know if it's a real thing, if it's, I don't understand life as such. But so the thing is, as part creators, they say that what you focus on grows. If that is true, then if I focus on these things, then indirectly I'm helping them grow. And so am I shooting myself in the foot, literally, and being part of creating these things? And in that case, it would be a lot better for me to focus on the carrot again, or are these things there? And by me going into the belly of the beast, but with light in the heart and with the intention of in a non-violent way, let truth expose and stop these forces. The thing is, they're there, just like here in Bali also, like the people here are so aware of the light and the dark and all of these things that I'm learning about more and more. But the thing is, well, this has been the quest of my whole life, is to, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, we have Arjuna. Arjuna is my spiritual name that was given to me by my spiritual teacher because she saw that I am a perfect warrior. I have trained this meat suit as a warrior, and my mind is peaceful. It is, I don't step on ants, I don't kick dogs, I don't say violent things, I walk in peace. And so how to deal with very violent individuals, how to deal with very violent acts, how to deal with so-called evil in a non-violent way. How do you do it? And just like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he's completely confused. The Bhagavad Gita is like this size. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of pages, and it's all a matter of, I don't get it. How can I, if I don't act, people get hurt. People that I love on both sides, in this case of Arjuna. If I don't act, people are going to get murdered, slaughtered, whatever. If I do act, people are going to get murdered, slaughtered, whatever. If I don't act, people I love will get hurt. And so if I do hurt, other people that I love will get hurt. How? And this is why, as far as I know, I've never got to the end of the Bhagavad Gita, but as far as I know, you get to the end, and the solution is, yeah, and that's it. And now there's a new chapter. You just like start it all over again. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Just like the book of Revelations, you get to the end and boom, golden age, and it begins again. What kind of loop is that? So,
yeah, I think with Arjuna and the Krishna story, that some people are just warriors. I mean, that's what Krishna was saying to Arjuna, right? You're a warrior. That's just how it is. And when he didn't want to fight, he didn't mollycoddle him. He just said, get up, get the job done, right? And what I'm hearing from you is the job is shining light on the shadows and exposing truth, and that is the focus. That is the direction. And I'd like you to talk more about that word light, because I think it's very purposeful in your everything I've read about you, because you use light on conspiracies, right? So you use that word purposely, and then we're going to talk about your community that you're creating later, but you talk about light-minded people rather than like-minded people. So this seems like an important theme. Can you tell me more about it?
It is very important for me, and I'm very proud of that word, the like-minded. I don't know, I haven't seen it anywhere else, but it just so resonates with me, because it's like, I think that a lot of confusion, destruction, and so-called negative things are happening because of distorted, especially male energy, but minds that have not purified themselves and are doing stuff because they are not healed and thus open to be sort of invaded by these negative forces. If you look at people that are carrying out a lot of atrocities, very often they're damaged individuals. They've gone, horrendous things have happened to them. They can't help themselves. They've sort of like got this energy in their system, and it just goes out and does a lot of horrendous stuff. So it's, for me, you're talking about light-minded. Light is to get out of the mind. The mind is the confuser. It's the thing. It's like, it's called mind control for a reason, because that's where they can get to you. It's not called heart control. They cannot get to your heart. And I think that this is, in Raj Yoga they talk about the longest journey is from the mind, the head, down into the heart. And that's the journey that we should travel. And this is in here, in the mind. That's where all the battles should be fought, not out there.
Yeah.
So on a street level, I see it as like a multi-layered paradox. We're striving towards enlightenment, whatever that means, but to get up in frequency. The thing that is holding us down is this dense world down here, where on a higher level, all of these horrendous things doesn't matter because it's just light and dark playing with each other, you know, like creating stuff. And down here, we have this incredible opportunity to, if we choose, become a serial killer, or if we choose otherwise, become a saint, and anything in between. It's your choice, it's my choice. But then so it's like, in one way, everything is perfect. Nothing is really happening. But on a street level, in this reality, where whatever that is, you know, this dense thing where a desk is a desk and you walk into a wall and it stops you and whatever, these things appear to happen and people get hurt or appear to get hurt. Reincarnation, yes, whatever. But so there's these things going on that everything is okay, everything is perfect, everything is messed up, everything is crazy, everything is horrendous, all of them at the same time. So it's a matter of where is your mind at. So the people that have really inspired me are people like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, both of them very peaceful people. What did they do? What did Gandhi do? I mean, he was like 5'2" with a stick and like dressed like a baby, you know, no title, no money, no army, no nothing. This dude had nothing, hardly any teeth, and except a strong spirit that was just like, I am going to change this. How am I going to change it? He was up against the Great British Empire. I mean, look at that one again. That empire that at the time was, nobody had conquered it. It was like, you just couldn't. And this individual was crucial in saying, thank you so much. It's very kind of you to offer to keep us occupied here, but we thank you for your services. It's time for you to go home. How did he do that? And they left. They left. How did he do it? You go to India. How did he unite a country where you go in traffic and it's just like absolute mayhem, and like all of these different religions and all of these different caste systems, all of that chaos, and in that he unified it. How do you do it? So for me, extremely inspirational to see how he did it, and also that the way he, without becoming a victim, because he was put in prison many times, he was put away, but instead of becoming a victim, he turned it around and used it for good. Sometimes if you turn it around, these so-called negative things, you can turn it into a power. And so while he was inside, people were so upset of the injustice that he was in there that it just amped up his power, his sort of like the power of his actions, the power of his words just got stronger while they were trying to just shove him into this cage and shut him up. It just went the other way. So it's super interesting to see when somebody is working for truth based on love and harmony and compassion, this world, multi-layered world, is often very kind to offer crucifixion, bullet to the head, you know, being hanged up or strapped up or chopped up or whatever. Does that mean that they're doing the wrong thing? I would say no. If they come with the right intention, they're doing the exact thing. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. And most people have ended up dead. But then again, most, if not all of these meat suits are going to end up dead anyway one day. So it's like we have a choice. And I get inspired by people who can stand up against very violent forces without using violence, not bending over, not being wimps, not looking the other way. I mean, it's, I'm not religious, but you got this dude called Jesus. I mean, this was not a weak individual. Did he use violence? Absolutely not. And there again, what did they do? Chop, 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 up on a wall. Thank you so much. And there you go. But he said, well, listen, I'm going to come back. Boom. He came back and just said, it's an illusion anyway. So just wanted to let you know. And then he disappeared again to return whenever.
Yeah.
So
I kind of hear that all the life. Like we get taught to toe the line all the time. And that was my upbringing.
Excuse me, what does that mean? Toe the line?
Toe the line. Do what you're told.
Okay.
Don't ask questions. Don't question authority. The world shapes you to be a certain way, right? To comply. And I got that through school, like Christian brothers. I got it through the church. I got it through my father. I got it through government. I got it through everything. And so we tend to learn to keep our head down and fly beyond the radar because it's safer, as you mentioned before. So what do you think allows people to then rise above that and say, okay, enough's enough. I'm not going to create violence, but I need to step up in my awareness and making a difference in a positive way, in an upward way in life.
Yeah, but it's not one choice. It's like 1,000 choices in the same direction.
Yeah.
Do you know, like when I was a kid, I grew up in the middle of the forest. We can get back to that. I'm now finding out that my parents lived a double life my whole life without knowing it. But otherwise than that, I was taken to Sweden. We lived out in the middle of the forest, and there was once a year there was like this moose hunt going on. The elks were being hunted, and the way they were being hunted was that during the whole year, these hunters were putting out like big blocks of salt so that the elks or mooses would come to the very same location, lick these salt things, and then when the day came, and I mean, for me, it's like, that's such a coward way of doing, like an ambush setup. So I kept moving these salt things, and I used I had got some acid from school, and I burned the ropes of these towers where the hunters used to sit. So they had this incredible tendency to just collapse, and which caused a lot of irritation in the area. And it was like I was causing not good stuff. I was a kid. I just felt not okay. I mean, I didn't even know these elks personally. It was just like, this is not right. And so it's just kept on, like I'm a meat eater. At the same time, if something is going to happen to a chicken or whatever, I'm going to do everything I can to help it. If there's a bee in the pool, I'm going to jump in and get it out of there. It's like, so there's this double standard. Yes, I eat meat. I've struggled with that my whole life, but my body, I really feel, needs meat. And and
so you're a disruptor from an early age.
Not I mean, I was a very timid child, quiet. I mean, my dad was very militant, the John Wayne era.
Mine too.
He was also, I'm now finding out that he was a secret asset for NATO. My whole life had no idea. But that he had this, he had a violent side to him, a cold side, where he could actually also kill people, which he did at a few times. So I was scared of him. I loved him. I feared him. I hated him. It's like this mixture of strange feelings.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And so I was very afraid of standing up to him, which I didn't. But at the same time, I was practicing, like gunslinging skills, quick draw, knife throwing, axe throwing, all type of weaponry. I was good at it, because we lived in the middle of nowhere. I practiced like 2, 3, 4 hours a day. So I was fascinated by the old historical Wild West. So I grew up sort of like with a 45 in my hand and all of it. At the same time, I was this quiet boy, not saying anything. So, and in in my room, there was weapons all over the world, all over the walls, you know, like, and I was aiming to become a gunsmith. So I was going to Austria to become a gunsmith. At the same time, I was nonviolent. It's like, and confusing to me, but like now the older I get, and when I start to look into like the samurai cultures and stuff like that, where one of the things with being a real samurai was become deadly, yeah, but kindness was one of the other major things of a samurai. Kindness, politeness, and death, and so. Yeah, no wonder I'm been confused, because it's sort of like I just felt how can I get out of this family that I felt was messed up, and under this dictatorship where I wasn't allowed to speak out, I wasn't allowed to do anything. We had like dictatorship, I don't know what to call it, but I was like, we could do anything we wanted as long as we did as my dad said. You know, it's like his words, that was it. No discussion, no nothing. There was like that. So when I grew up, I was stuttering when I got close to him, and I never had this the courage to stand up against him, and I never had the sort of like screaming or shouting at. Never ever did I do that with him. On the other side of that, I started traveling on my own into extreme places like war zones, and I went on a bicycle on my own from Sweden down through Europe, and then ended up in the middle of the war between Iran and Iraq, smuggled some people out from Iran through former Russia up to Sweden. And so I was like, I was somehow liberating myself from this dictatorship that was inside of me somehow, some in a strange way, because I was so locked inside myself. You know, I watched The Wall, the movie, 8 times in a week. You know, where another brick in the wall, and then in the end you just blow it up from the inside. I was completely absorbed by it, and I didn't understand the movie. I still don't understand it, but that is my journey to all of these blocks that have been put there around me that I don't even see, this transparent wall. I just how to blow them up from the inside. And so I had to put myself in very dangerous situations to, I think, indirectly try and prove myself to my father, because he saw me as a weak individual. At least I thought so, because I was sort of like artistic and soft and into these not violence, and at the same, or not his way of thinking.
Right.
And yeah, I can go on.
So when you started to question the official narrative, what were you searching for then? Was it truth, justice, meaning, purpose? I mean, that sounds like the lead into a Marvel superhero movie.
No. It's like I've never looked for revenge. Revenge has never been in my system. I've never been driven by anger. And you can say, well, he's been suppressing it. And yes, at times I get angry in specific situations. But most of the time, there's not a lot of anger in my system, I believe. Sadness is another one. That one has had massive thing in me, on a verge of depression for many years, where I've been sort of having real problems finding a meaning with life and a reason being here. But there's just been like this. I've had a driving force in myself that I don't understand really, that have just been pushing me into areas that many times I tell you, my logical mind has said, what the fuck am I doing in this situation? Get out. Because I've been, nowadays I'm surrounding myself with former killers and, assassins and black ops and gurus and spiritual teachers. My like, if I look in my context, it's sort of like, if I thought back like 30 years ago and somebody would say, these people are going to be close to you, I would be like, you must be kidding. So it's like, what has been this driving force? I don't get it. But I really feel, Mark, that somehow I think that I signed up for this journey of this life beforehand. They say we do that, we sign these contracts. Okay, so what's the theme? What do you want to do here? So I signed up to stand up in this David and Goliath thing with a light sword of truth, to go this journey where the task is to accomplish freedom, nonviolent, based on compassion, forgiveness, truth, how to do it. And that has sort of been my journey. But on this journey, I've chosen to meet these dark obstacles that have been scaring the living bejesus out of me many times. So I don't understand. It's like I haven't really had a choice, I feel, because if I don't do these things, when I feel in my soul, do it, and my mind says, oh God, no, I can't, if I push it down, it starts eating me from the inside. I can't sleep at night. It starts going like this until I act on whatever it is. And the result has been absolutely magnificent so many times. When I follow that, when I dare to do it, absolute healing and beauty. And I mean, it's so amazing to be part of. And if I don't do it, it just goes really like destructive for myself and others also, because I don't do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you're certified as a Raj Yoga teacher, and my work's always been under that umbrella. And in the full system yoga, like the idea is to master your mind. You talked about that, learning to master your mind. Why? Because you see beyond the veil, you pierce beyond the veil, and what's beyond that? Well, there's a whole other world. There's this whole potential and possibility, and it's a frequency. It's light. It's a higher vibration of light. And people talk about that, but then if you talk about conspiracies or the shadow things, they're like, oh, no. But actually, it's as above, so below. And I think it also speaks to a lot of people talk about wanting to go towards self-realization, but actually when they're faced with it and they go into their own shadows, they kind of go sideways or go back in another direction. And it seems to me it's probably the same for a lot of people, although it seems to be changing a lot now. Maybe there's light coming onto the planet, the vibration's speeding up, but a lot of it seems to be exposed. I think at a certain point, early days, you were one-off, right? And I imagine it would be very difficult in that place where you're just kind of doing it and everyone's like, what are you talking about? But now actually a lot of that is coming to the light. It's being exposed. It's an interesting as above, so below, I think.
It's 45 years of my life that I've been down this. I know exactly when it sort of like clicked in for me that something very strange was going on, and that was in 1980. So I've been on this journey of trying to understand for so many of these things that is now coming up to the surface. I tell you, I've been talking about it since late 80s, early 90s. Like you said, extremely lonely journey, which I think for the people who choose this type of path, it's just accept it. It's going to be a lonely ride for you. It's just like there was this amazing LAPD officer, his name was Mike Rubert, who was part of exposing the Iran-Contra scandal and stuff like that. Very brave individual who later committed suicide. At least that's what they say. But I think it was a suicide, one of the few that is for real, because he just felt that he was finished here on earth. But anyway, so he said that the journey is like an Indian scout, native Indian scout, where you go out into enemy territory. You are on your own. You have no weapons. Your task is to go into enemy territory, collect information that can be of value for the tribe, then return without getting killed and deliver it to the tribe. Very long. When he said that, that really resonated with me, because it's been feeling exactly like that, to go into unknown territories when you talk to other people, they don't even know they exist, even though it really affects their lives. And it's sort of like to try and say, but it is, it's actually happening. Nope. And so this thing, yeah, but come with me. Nope. And so the journey is, okay, let's forget it or do it on your own. Yeah. This is why also, when I took that bicycle from Sweden, this was way before mountain bikes and these type. It was an old crappy bicycle for $50, 2 gears, and I took myself across the Alps and stuff like that on my own, before the internet, so a lonely journey, but very symbolic journey also, where I think maybe on that bicycle I got more in touch with real life maybe than any other time, because all of the external noise was taken away. All of these many meetings that doesn't really mean anything was taken away, and only the ones that really mattered were lined up like a pearl of like a line of pearls, and on that journey, it's like I'm not good at reading books, like spiritual books, and then that's enough. It doesn't, like Raj Yoga. Yeah, I'm an international Raj Yoga teacher. I've got a diploma. What does it mean? Absolutely nothing. For me, these are just words. But exactly. It's like it has to come in there, and somehow for me to get it, like, I get that one, and then sort of integrate it into myself so that it's part of me, then it makes a difference. So if you ask me, I've never been a follower of any religion or groups, organizations, or anything like that. But when in 2004 or something like that, my sweetheart Kim and I, we met our spiritual teacher, Melanie Chelaram is her name. And it was, my sweetheart came home. There had been this meeting. Somebody had called and said, there's this women's meeting. We have this incredible woman from India who gives talks, come there. So Kim came home. I saw her eyes. She was just like sparked up like this. And just like, oh my God, this woman. I said, listen, I don't care if it's only for women. I'm coming. So I went there. And this was before at that point, yoga for me was just some weird postures and stuff like that. So I had no idea. She was a Raj Yoga teacher, which is the king of yoga, the one where, in my opinion, that's the one that counts, because yoga is union for the mind. That it's in the mind. All of these postures is just for your body to calm down so you can sit in meditation and so on and make a difference like that. So yoga has got this wrong rap about just being physical. It is there also, but I'm like stiff like a log. I don't know anything about it. And yet yoga has been extremely important for me in my life. And the thing with Melanie was that she didn't want anything from me. She was the first. I've been to all of these new age type retreats and whatever, whatever. I've been there. This was the first woman I've never seen anyone walk or talk like this. Not even close. In my world, she's 1 in a billion. And the thing that really hooked me was that she didn't want anything. The only thing she wanted from me was to become a better version of myself. And she lives in beauty. Everything she does is so beautiful and completely selfless. Service of all, and the way she just deals with situation, it just really got to me. And so what I didn't know was that this path that I've been trying to walk without any guidance was actually yoga, I think, my whole life. I didn't know that it had a name. I didn't know that Gandhi, that he was bringing these yoga books with him everywhere, and the Bhagavad Gita. I had no idea. I didn't know that Martin Luther King was into these things either. I just felt this is right. This is the way to do it. They are doing it. And so when it is through Nelanie that I have been into these so-called dark areas for some 25 years at least at that point, where a lot of it was based on fear. I was really scared. I mean, I was up against we moved country twice because of what I'm doing. I've had people murdered around me. I've been shot, poisoned, almost hit by a car. I mean, I've had reason to be scared. Okay. So, but when I met her, she was sort of like, she showed me, she knew nothing about the world I came from, these type of things. No, nothing at all. But she showed me how to deal with these things, because bring it back into the mind and deal with it there. Burn the tapas and purify your mind, purify your mind, purify your mind, purify your mind. And through that, and one of the things, Mark, also I think is quite funny, is like the thing that scared me the most was speaking in front of people. I mean, I was terrified. Up against assassins, not a problem. Speak in front of a little group. I mean, I was shaking, crying. It was like ridiculous. It was, I think maybe also from growing up under my father's sort of like this dictator type of thing, to stand up and speak in front of, I mean, God, I avoided funerals. I avoided the birthday parties just in case somebody would tell me. Anyway, so one of the things that Melanie said was, listen, the only thing I ask from you is that you become the best version of yourself. And part of that is to speak in front of this group, which was like, we did it once a month for a year. And it was a group of 8 people. Oh my God. I went through that, you know, shaking, stuttering, crying, whatever, like this. My whole body was just reacting. And then on the other side, it has become my life. I mean, now I've been interviewed, I don't know, 1,400 times or whatever. And I, you know, where the spoken word has become the thing, but where fear, had I not met that fear, you know, it's just really interesting.
It's also, yeah, it's interesting because I got a similar story with Babaji, who's been a long-term teacher, and then, you know, all this stuff was going on in the world, and I rang up Swami Parmanand, which is his right-hand person, with him all the time, and I said, "What does Babaji say about all this stuff and this chaos and these conspiracies and all this stuff?" And he says, "No, it's never mentioned it," and it was a really good lesson for me, because if you don't pay attention to that and you stay up here, that becomes your reality. And so the segue to that is looking into the shadows, and we see all that, and it's becoming part of it now. But I see people getting really caught up in it, right? And when they're really caught up in it, they kind of feed it in a way. They're not kind of looking at the other side of it or the light side of it. So with all that experience that you've had of being in the shadows, what would you say to people when they're, because I think it's purposeful as well to keep people that talking about it and spinning in it. What's your advice there?
Okay, so first, stay in the light. I see what they're talking about. And at the same time, if you look at many spiritual teachers, many spiritual gurus, many spiritual leaders, many of them have had accusations about where they have sort of maybe not molested people around them, but they've taken advantage of them and so on. So the thing is, in life here, that life is on so many different layers and levels. And I feel that if you only focus on the spiritual part of it, a major part of your brain, which consists of at least 4 different parts, of also different personalities and different traits and so on. If you only focus there and you develop that, which is amazing, but then often they don't develop the other one, which is like the thing that teach you about boundaries and the same value of everybody and so on. And they get, I don't think that often that they mean to do it, but what they do is they actually hurt other people by it. I mean, so many spiritual teachers have been accused of taking advantage of young women and whatever. So that's one thing that, yeah, that's great in many ways. But just like Jesus, I mean, he was hands-on. He was in it, you know. And then you have all of these saints sitting in a cave saying, I don't get it. I mean, okay, then people come there and maybe in the presence of these people, they go back and then they do better in their life and do good. In that case, great. It's, for me, it's too much of a, I don't get it. I need to see results. I need to see action, or at least it's not for me. So the thing is, for the second part of your question is, okay, so first, to solve a problem, whatever it is, you need to understand what the problem is. And if you look at today, we're being presented problems all the time, but very often I would suggest these problems are not the way they appear. Very often the ones that are creating or are looking for the solution have also created the problems there, so that we would accept their solutions. So we're being told the problem is this, and they're pointing all different directions, where actually it's them who are doing it to us. So for me, it's like, find out, first of all, what's the truth? Pull the veil so you see, okay, now I see the problem. This is where the investigative part of it comes in, to really find out, okay, on a crime scene level, what the hell just happened? Okay, first that, boom, then you understand the solution or the problem. So you can see, okay, in that case, the solution is this. But so many people in the beginning parts of seeing that there actually are such things as conspiracies, which actually just means two or more people involved in planning or carrying out criminal activities. So, I mean, they're all over the place. So it's not that it's sort of like very unusual in any form or shape. But the thing is, okay, so people see, oh my God, they start seeing that things are upside down in this world, and like they've been taken for a ride for a long, long time. So many people react in the same way, more or less. They go through almost the same stages as if you have experienced death close to you. There's this disbelief, there's this sadness, sorrow, depression, anger, these different stages of depression, all kinds of mixed together. And for some people, it comes out as anger when they start seeing, holy crap, I've been taken for a ride. They have done this to me. I am gonna, and then they start exposing these forces, but their energy is violent. Their energy is revenge. Their energy is like, lynch the bastards. We have to save the children by chopping the heads of these people. And so in my way of seeing it, is like, if you come from that energy, it's like pouring gasoline on an open fire. Yeah, okay, so you chop some heads off, but look at yourself. What is the end result? It's just more of the same chaos. Like revolution, listen to the word revolution. It just means go round, 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 round. For me, that's not a solution. It's a revolution. So that's not even there on the map. So what I'm talking about is like transcending it. That's the way through. You cannot meet violence with violence if you want to solve something. The only thing violence from violence is that the strongest win. And in this case, they're so much stronger than we are because they've got all the arms and whatever, up their sleeves. So for me, transcend the whole thing by seeing what's going on, understanding, expose the truth, and then lift yourself in gratitude above the obstacle. That's the way. Because the question that everybody has to ask themselves is, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want? And for me, I want total harmony on earth. I mean, I want a world filled with compassion, forgiveness, understanding, absolute amazing for everybody, the golden age for everyone, like that. So, but what many people are going into is just putting fueling the whole thing, and that thus creating a lot of aggression. That also is where people start fighting each other, like this, oh no, you're right, no, I'm right, no, whoa, 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 whoa. And you got this whole thing going, and it leads nowhere.
No.
So I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, I mean, for me, the word that stood out was transcendence. I mean, we're doing that in our own life with the shadows, where we've gone away from ourselves or from source, and it sounds the same for that. And I guess within that, I also want to say that there's some amazing gurus out there that have transcended, and they are living examples of that. Duality, for sure. There's the ones that haven't integrated all those aspects, and they maybe think they have, and it plays out in funny ways. But there's also some amazing gems out there as well. So in saying that, I'm just going to shift a little bit. I noticed that you got a Peace Prize from Prague, the Prague Peace Prize. What was that about?
It was a very small little organization in Prague that they really got to them that the Peace Prize, the official one, is by Alfred Nobel, who was the inventor of dynamite, and that the Peace Prize is given to war criminals like Henry Kissinger, and incredible, like, if you look at it, it's like, it's just so upside down, inverted, is completely off the hooker. So what they wanted was to create this, they called it the Prague Peace Prize, which was like no money involved, but a little statue and the honor of being given this. So it was given to myself, it was given to David Icke, it was given to 7 in total, whereof 4 of them died within a year. So yeah, so that made this. It was like it made this organization pull back, because they just felt, oh my God, what's going on here? So it was only given in 2016, as far as I know. Jim Morris was one of the people who was who was a friend of mine. I met him once, and it was just a mind-blowingly beautiful individual. He was one of the people that passed that very same year. So, but for me, it meant a lot, because it meant that somebody had seen who I am, what it is I'm trying to accomplish. And because of that, this little glass statue worth, I don't know, nothing. But for me, it really meant a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel that now we mentioned before that because of the frequency of the planet, or light flooding onto the planet, or however you want to describe that, people seem to be waking up. There is a mass awakening, and people are shocked, and all of those things. And maybe it's being drip fed. But is there some level where you feel like vindicated, or there's like, I told you so? Like, is there any of that where it's just a little sneaky part where it's like, yeah, see?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, because it's quite brutal for so many years to be looked upon like, hello, or that to have to sort of like struggle. I'm trying to save these individuals over here, and I have to struggle. I mean, and being. So yes, one part of me would very much like to just. I know what I've done, but it would be amazing just to get sort of like somebody to really say, listen, we see what you've done. Well done, you. Thank you so much. You did well. We thank you. And yeah. So, yes. But that one is easing out more and more. A few years ago, I felt, but I was so burned out at the time. So I really felt like, what's the point? What is the
cost? What is the cost of living 4 decades in the shadows? You mean, you mentioned depression, you mentioned different things.
No,
there's got to be a cost to it, right? Or exploring those areas.
Yeah, because I've never lived in the dark as such. And it's like when most people say, how can you deal with the dark? How can you? I really don't see it like that. I sort of, because one of the things also that Raj Yoga teach you is like to detach and see it for, judge the sin, not the sinner. So I think I'm the least revengeful person around, and yet I know more of the dark stuff than most also. So it's sort of like, because it's very important for me that it doesn't absorb me. If I start going into these negative feelings, it will just eat me from the inside, and it will completely, then I'm of no value in this area at all.
But you're in there, like you are exploring it, you're investigating it. I mean, how do you, I guess you answered it with your yoga practices, but how do you not become cynical or jaded when you see a lot of that type of thing going on? Because I know people do that now, and it doesn't take much for them to start feeling a bit, cynical and jaded.
I don't feel that at all. But I think it's like, I see you've got a surfboard behind you. It's sort of like when you're a beginner, if you get on one of these ones, I mean, like even small waves would make you fall over. But then over the years, the better you get, I mean, even you start seeing, okay, bring it on. You can still keep your inner balance. You can still surf the waves like this. Then when you get really good at it, and if you put like in 45 years, then you can handle some pretty good waves without losing the balance. Because the thing is, when you lose it, that's when you get in trouble. When you lose the balance, if you get stiff or if you get scared, that's where you get into trouble. But if you can just follow smoothly and just, I know nothing about surfing. I know about surfing in my area. And I also know that in my area, if I go straight up against one of these big dark waves, it's the end of me. So I have to be clever and, like read the waves and crisscross them. And then when the time is right, whatever, so it's the same thing there. And I think also as a surfer, you have to detach yourself from fear. The fear is good when you see there's some rocks over there. Don't fall there. Stay away. That's good fear. If you let fear get to you, you can't do it. That's my interpretation of surfing. And so I just, like in martial arts also, if you head on like full force on it, like karate, force against force, people get hurt. If you do like in Aikido and you see the forces coming at you, the only thing you need to do is keep the inner balance, get out of the way, redirect their energy into a downward spiral shape, make sure they don't hurt themselves, and then control them and say, listen, calm down. You're welcome up again when you calm down. Until then, this violent stuff or whatever you're up to is no good. So thank you for being an absolute assholes. But as part of this whole thing, but otherwise than that, the thing is, Mark, when you look at life, I know I've said it many times, but like the biggest teachers are often the worst assholes you're surrounding yourself with, because they have this incredible tendency of pinpointing your weaknesses, the things that you have not healed in yourself yet. And then once you heal that, these assholes often becomes very good friends if you choose to.
Well, one area that you have been recognized, which is kind of cool and powerful, is, and I'd like you to explain the word adopted, but you're adopted by the Apache Nation. Tell us about that.
I get spirit chills when you talk about it. Thank you for bringing it up. So, like I told you before, I used to really be a geek in the historical West area, and it was gunslingers, and then there were two native tribes that really were, for me, it was the Sioux tribe and the Apache tribe, especially an Apache leader or chief that was his name was Cochise.
Yes.
And Cochise was a Gandhi type Apache. He was like, he had the same mindset. I think that was what got to me. And there was this white dude, Tom Jeffries, I think his name was, that in the area down in Arizona near Tombstone, where the Cochise stronghold was, he went on his horse with a mule on his own straight into the stronghold when they were at war, and just said, "Listen, I would like to meet Cochise." And instead of being chopped up in small little pieces, he was led to Cochise and they became best friends. And that thing has always, they're even said to be buried next to each other. That thing really got to me. You know, I think this Dancer with Wolves theme is built a little bit on that whole type of scenario, you know, like one of us goes into the enemy territory and through that bridge building, amazing things happen. And so the Apaches have always been close to me. And then when the more I learn about how they have been mistreated over the years, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
All of
well,
these
they were
natives.
always portrayed as the bad guys, right? In the movies in the 60s, 70s, you know, they were always the bad guys, the Apaches.
Yeah. I mean, war is war, but when you look at the Apaches, it's a very special tribe, or used to be a very, very special tribe. And in the end, it was the last so-called Indian war that was going on was against the Apaches down in the southwest of Arizona. And there was, like, if I remember out, Captain Crook was there with about 3,000 in the cavalry down there, chasing or hunting them down, and they were only like 300, and they kept going for almost 5 years in this limited area. How did they do it? It was just unbelievable, and it was only through other Apache scouts that they managed to track them down. And so they had this incredible resilience and way of transcending. Also, the way that, I mean, they're in contact with different ways of seeing reality, I think, but also a lot of sadness in the way that they were just being destroyed. We're being told that they were monsters like Geronimo and so on, but this man had 2 families with children, his own family, massacred. I mean, he was messed up big time, and then he went for revenge. Who can blame him? But anyway, so over the years, I've been speaking about the Apaches and stuff like that, also trying to make people aware of what's going on with these tribes in the reservations and so on, because it's still very ugly. And then one day, out of the blue, I was contacted by somebody called Shush, which means it's the Apache word for bear. That's his Apache name, and a bear. And we started talking, and then he sent me this beautiful quote. That I've got it on my website. It's something like, "We see what you're doing, and we see the fight you're doing. You're fighting the war, everybody's war, not for yourself, for everybody, and that we stand by your side. We understand your whatever." And that really, really hit home with me. And so we became friends, Shush and I. This was from what they call the Apache Nation, this group down there. And so I started doing podcasts together with Shush, where I interviewed him about the Apache culture, because it's like just like you say, they've always been portrayed by like monsters. But then when you start talking to them, it's like, oh my God. Do you know that they don't even have swear words? They don't even have bad words. They don't. You can't call anybody anything ugly. You cannot. But also one of the things in their culture that it's very rude. Now we're talking in the old days. Very rude to look somebody in the eyes, and then you have. Yeah. So how many misunderstandings along the way when white people have come and they look at these Indians that are avoiding to look them in the eyes, and they think, oh my God, they're sneaky bastards, lying thieves. They don't even, it's like Shush said, he's never even looked his mother in the eyes. Never, ever, out of respect. His whole life, he never looked him in the eye. So I'm like, whoa, so many things based on misunderstandings, different cultures that just... So, and then out of that, one day the elders in the group said that they would like to adopt me. I think also for helping spread this whole thing that I was doing. And then I was given the name Wiakpayela Wansi.
I know it means bright one, but I wasn't going to even try and pronunciate.
How do you know that?
I read it.
Okay, good on you. I mean, that nobody knows that, but yes, it does. And it's like my sweetheart says, bright one. It can't have anything to do with intelligence. It must be something else they're referring to.
Well, I'm gonna swing you one here, because a mutual friend of ours, I told him I was going to do a podcast with you, and he said, asking me about the horse story, the Apache horse story. So now you're on the spot.
Okay. So in 2016 or something like that, I was on tour in Denmark. 15, I think it was, maybe 4, yeah, something like that. I was on tour in Denmark, and I was speaking at the Open Mind Conference in Copenhagen, and I was so tired, Mark. I was so exhausted, because over the years I've done everything for free. You know, it's only the last 10 years or so when I started to generate an income in this area. So for all of these years, I went on tour, you know, on donation based and everything like that. And I was just like, I was worn out with a family of 5 also. It was just like, and so in the audience, there was this guy called Bjarne who said, he invited me for lunch. And he said, I followed you for years. I would really be happy if I could invite you for lunch. So I would say, I would love to. So I went home to his place. It was like a horse ranch in the north of Denmark. And when we sat down for lunch, there were these wine glasses. And on my wine glass, it was like engraved Apache. And I was like, how the hell did you even know? I thought, that is so amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I had no idea that you knew. And he said, knew what? I said that I'm adopted by the Apaches. I mean, not a lot of people know that. And he said, no, it's like he had like 6 different horses. And so the different wine glasses had the name of the horses on them. And so I was like, okay. And then it turned out that he was a horse whisperer. This dude was very, very unusual. He was like a specialist in essential oils. He was a healer. He was a guitar developer. He had his own guitar brand. There were guitars everywhere. He didn't play, but he made them. And he was a horse whisperer. I mean, and Denmark's first drag racing driver. That's a combo for you.
It is.
So anyway,
sounds a little bit like your combo. Because we're only touching on a few things, but you know, like you've got 2 albums out, you've published best-selling books, you're an artist.
But anyway, so back to the horse. But anyway, so I've always been fascinated by people that communicate with animals, because I love them, but I've never been able to like do it like so. So I said, so if Apache is your horse, can you communicate? Yeah, he said, we're great friends. I said, so do you think maybe I could join you and see when you do it? Yeah, great, not a problem. So we had lunch, and then we went out to see Apache. And Apache was this big white horse. I mean, he is really big. And he was at the time 17 or something like that, but a huge horse. And I was bare feet. And so Bjarne called over Apache. Apache came, and he stood very close to me. And I was a little like intimidated because of my bare feet, you know, because heavy horse, bare feet, not a good combo. And so Apache came, and also I had like this hoodie on, and he was sort of like chewing on it and pulling it like this. And I was like, okay, big horse, a little bit like this. And then Bjarne said, do you want to ask him a question? I said, what do you mean, the horse? I said, yeah. So Bjarne said, just repeat the question in your mind, and I will see what Apache says. So I said, okay, fair. So I was sort of at a point where, how am I gonna get out of this situation? Because I'm energy-wise, I'm dying here. I was really, really, really flat, you know. How I don't understand. Please. So I was just repeating. And when I asked the question, I mean, quietly in my head, Bjarne didn't know what I was asking about. Apache went completely still. His head went down between us instead of all of this, you know, like headbutting me almost. He just went completely still, head down. And then Bjarne, once again, who didn't know what I asked, he said, Apache says you have to redo your website. I was like, what? What? What?
What?
So he said, Apache says it's a matter of energy. At this point, it's only energy out. That doesn't work in the long run. You have to open so that it can be an exchange of energy. The way you do it is by donation buttons. I was like, am I getting advice from a horse about my website? And then he got into some details about, yeah, open up for membership like this, maybe a newsletter, donation buttons like that. That will make the flow go like this. And then Bjarne said, Apache just want to let you know that he's always going to be there for you. The only thing you need to is call his name, you know, silently in your head, put the question out there, and he would be there for you. And then the horse turned around and just away. I was like, what just happened? So I went in, I called my sweetheart right away and said, as soon as I get home, we're going to remake the website. And I did. And that was a turning point for me when I started slowly started generating an income from the site. It was a real turning point for me. And that was through that horse. And you know what?
That's a fantastic story. I'm glad I asked.
And then I also, because I've become very close friends with Judith Baker, who is the mistress of Lee Harvey Oswald, the guy that was blamed for the Kennedy assassination. Oh. She was working for the CIA, creating a bioweapon against Fidel Castro. That's how she met Lee Oswald and fell in love with him. And it's a long, long story. But anyway, she's done everything she can to clear his name because he was completely innocent. He was actually trying to save Kennedy. But otherwise than that, so for many, many years, she's lived with a broken heart because her love for Lee Oswald has been so great her whole life. So I managed to get her as one of the speakers in Copenhagen as well. So I asked Bjarne, is there any chance that Judith can speak to Apache as well? Because I mean, I know what he did for me. So he said, of course. So Judith Baker went out there and same scenario. She was standing with Apache. And then I have this photo of her. She's standing holding Apache like this massive big horse head like this. And they're standing like forehead, and she's just crying like this. And the thing was, what Apache told her is like, it's enough. There's been enough sorrow. You know, it's time to let it go. Lee wants you to just be free. Just let it go. The tears are now over. Move forward in joy and lightness. And that was it. I was like, that horse. I mean, what on earth is going on with that horse? I mean,
a real life Mr. Ed. Amazing. Very cool. Very cool stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah. Bjarne, he died a year ago or so, but Apache is still around as far as I know. He's hitting 20.
Okay, so that started to change things and money started to come in. And now you're moving into an exciting new phase with Kim. Are you married? You guys married? You always say your sweetheart. I'm just...
No, we've been together for 27 years. And we got married sort of on a symbolic way, and here in Bali as well. So we got married actually in Cinnamon, where we're going to hold this retreat that I think you're referring to here.
Well, this is not for the retreat, but you've got some land. I know you were looking for land for quite a while, and then I heard that you got some, and you're starting a community called Selalu. And what did you tell me that means in Bahasa?
Selalu means in Bahasa Indonesian, it means always, and it's a we just love the word Selalu. It has such a beautiful ring to it. And
so tell us more about that. Yeah, tell us more about the community.
Yeah, so for 25 years, my sweetheart and I have had this dream about creating not a community, not a gated anything, not an organization, whatever, but like a neighborhood of like-minded friends, like-minded, here that word is, where at this point, I've always been in a situation where my real friends have been like 4,000 miles away in another country on the other side of this and that and whatever, and it's so rare that we can meet. So the dream has been to bring these people together in the same area where everybody has their own house, they own their own land and so on. But instead of 4,000 miles, you can just walk down the road and have a coffee and, be there. The thing is also, I mean, you've seen around fire circles here in Bali and so on, where you take spectacular people from around the world, you bring them together in a small little plot around a fire, whatever. And the thing that happens around this fire when it comes to creativity and healing and the ripple effects are just incredible. So imagine if you take high level people in the world and you do the same, but here, like-minded people. And so that, about 25 odd years ago, 27, something like that, Kim and I was sort of like making like drawings of a house, but we never managed to fit in the walls. And it was only now, after like 5 years ago, when we came to Bali, that we started seeing, oh my God, maybe we don't need to have walls, because here, look at all these houses here, there are no walls in many areas. And so this has now taken a different shape, where we are in an area of Bali where this is possible, and we're trying to find. We thought we had found the right place, but due to the heavy rains and the floodings and stuff, we are in the process of relocating the area, bring this exact same idea, but relocate it a little bit so that we can actually get access to it. Because, well, you live here in Bali and you've seen these rains is just so powerful and dangerous if you're in the wrong place. Wow. So we really need to make it secure. But that's the dream of Selalu, that everybody has their own, not an organization, but because we've seen so many communities come and go, like it sounds great and everybody joins together, and then after 2-3 years it's complete disaster because people argue and alpha individuals take over and money.
How do you prevent that? Because I've lived in a lot of communities as well, and I know one that's worked well and the others fall down, or I know one that's still existing but it's dysfunctional. So how do you do that? How do you prevent that?
I think you can't prevent it as such, but what you can do is handpick people that is of a special caliber, who have dealt with themselves and purified their minds to a high level. That because on a level you don't need conflicts so much. I think the conflicts belong on lower levels of frequency. The lower you get, the more conflicts and arguments and so on. The higher up you get, the easier going it gets. Mm-hmm. And so this is for very specific handpicked people. We even have sort of like what we call them, I don't know what we call them, but like atonement calls, where we really feel each other. And then also we ask for people to come here to Bali so that we can meet them in person, so that we see if we get on, because it's the same for them. I mean, when we create this is going to be for the next 30 years. I mean, maybe for the rest of our lives, that we live as neighbors. So we might as well, for everybody involved, make sure that it works.
Do you feel like community means more to you now than, say, 20 years ago?
No, I don't like the name community or the word community at all. It's
like-minded gatherings.
Yeah, like a neighborhood, but community, right away you got rules, you got set standard, this, and we had to agree on stuff, and who's going to take out the garbage, who's going to do that, and I don't believe in these things. I believe in freedom. the guidelines should be the guidelines of the heart. Do no harm. Perfect actions. And the more people that are on the same wavelength, we don't have to have a lot of issues. And this is also where it's very important that everybody has their own little land, their own plot, their own. So it's more like an village, like in the old days, where people would just. So it's more the distance that we make shorter, like that.
Yeah. So for anyone that's interested, I can put a link in the notes, and if they're interested, they can connect in with you.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the retreat. Okay. It's quite a different sort of retreat.
As far as I know, it's unique. I haven't seen anything like it in the world. But no, the thing is that I've been informed here about a year ago that if I return to Sweden, I might face. This was not said to me as a threat. It was a legal individual, a lawyer in Sweden, who has been following me. He's just said, "I just want to inform you that the what do you call it? The legal foundation of the country, the Constitution of Sweden, has changed now. They've done it on purpose, so to be able to shut down people that speaks openly. It's not just Sweden, it's quite a few NATO countries that are in the same process of doing it. Yeah. And so what they've done is they made this foggy gray area where they're taking espionage, mental illness, conspiracy theories, and critics against NATO and the nation into one thing that can be used to shut people up. And so this lawyer said that, just so you know, if you return to Sweden, you might face up to 18 years in prison, plus 4 for exposing NATO or being critical to NATO. So that's like 22 years of free lodging, which is very generous and kind of them. But at the same time, I have other stuff to do in my life. So I thought, if I can't go there, because at this point I'm not comfortable going to NATO countries. Most of the mayhem that is carried out in the world is connected via NATO. Not that NATO is the force behind it, but it's one of the tools that holds it together. So I thought, if I can't come to you, why don't you come to me instead, to this island of the gods, this most beautiful place that I've ever come across, especially the people here. So what we decided to do is, in our favorite spot in Bali, which is Cinnamon, in our favorite spot in Cinnamon, which is Subak Tabola Villa.
It's a very beautiful area, Cinnamon.
Yes, it's beautiful. Thank you so much, Mark. Yeah, it is. And the people, Mama Ati, who runs this place, it's like I don't know what to call it really. It's not a retreat center. It's not a hotel. It's sort of like a mix of the two. And with a restaurant and multiple buildings, Balinese. This is sort of like, it's not 5-star Western quality, I would say, but it's 5-star Balinese, authenticity type of thing, And the people that are working there, and Mama Ati, and the way they do, I mean, you get spoiled with flowers and incense and prayers. And I mean, it is just such a beautiful, beautiful experience there. And the food is amazing. So what have we done is, I planned 2 retreats now in April. It's from the 1st to the 8th of April. It's going to be in Swedish for Scandinavians. And then from the 18th to the 25th, it's going to be for English speaking. And so it's a 7-day retreat where everything is included. The food is really, really, really good. And so many people have asked me, what is it that makes it possible for you to expose and even predict many of these operations in the world? Up to date, I've connected or exposed up to 2 months before they happen, about 77, I believe, of these alleged mass shootings or alleged terror attacks on international radio up to 2 months before they happen. How? What is it? And also indirectly stopped several of these ones because they got exposed before they happened. What is it? And so over the years, I learned a lot from insiders about how the modus operandi, how they carry these things out, and also how they intentionally leave hidden clues about the next attacks because they fear the law of karma. that the bad things you do will come back to you. So the way they reason, apparently, is that if they show us even in subtle ways what they're going to do, and we don't see it, then it's our fault. We should have seen it, so the bad karma's on our shoulders, not theirs. So that's why they purposely hide these things. And this is, after I understood that that was actually true, that's what I focused on, is finding these clues and then stop this mayhem from happening. So I'm going to have a week of like true crime detector, learn to see through the veil of lies, how they work, how they do it to us, how they play our minds like that. But also build up your spiritual muscles and just boom you up with love. I tell you, because the thing is, when my intention comes from the heart, amazing things happen. This meat suit is not the important one. It is what happens in the process when beautiful individuals from around the world meet like-minded people, many of them that have been feeling very alone and isolated and misunderstood and criticized. When you bring people together like that, with a mindset of doing good, being good, and lifting this world to the next level of beauty, but not being afraid of seeing what's actually going on. When you bring these type of people together, and you add this feeling of unity and them surrounded by these beautiful, this beautiful nature and food and love and taking care of and all of that thing, people just boom. They blossom. It's beautiful to watch. And then I will do everything I can also to amp that up with how I deal with what it is that makes me able to surf these waves without getting absolutely eaten from the inside, or how can I keep so peaceful and still be gentle even though I'm up against very brutal forces and so on. So we played with my name Dammegard because many people have made jokes about that over the years. So it's become like a verb. #Dammegard or #Dammegard. It means finding these hidden clues. But now I thought, how about Damagardian, the Damagardian experience, to become a guardian of truth and transparency. And so this is like a 7-day retreat where you get a certificate in the end as a true Damagardian, where the protector of truth and transparency, which I think is the most important of it.
Because what I got from it was, you're not going there to focus on conspiracies. That's that side. But I think the term you used was the Tradecraft of Truth, and I like that. I saw that on your website, and what I
do is
enlighten.
what I do has been called or been named conspirituality, and yes. I think that is I really like that word. Sort of, it's like the two sides of light and dark, and how to understand the whole setup.
Again, we'll put that in the show notes below, and people can check that out and jump in. You've got a few spots left.
Yep, I do indeed.
Okay, so just to wrap it up, I would like to, for a man, over 50, what have you learned, like in your journey, that keeps you strong, evolving, growing, and just on the kind of upward slope?
What have I learned? I hope I learned a lot.
You've challenged narratives for a long time, or you've delved into these narratives.
What I've learned is that
you've done a lot, and you've had a colorful life. And what would you say? Because in my audience, we talk about like sliding into comfort and just thinking that your best is behind you. What would you say?
The best is yet to come. For me, it's sort of like I've just warmed up the engines, the way I feel it. It's been a long, long uphill. And I crossed the Alps on a bicycle, so I know what uphills are. And I feel that we're coming to a point now where suddenly it's starting to level out. It looks crazy. It looks scary, but I think the reason why everything is speeding up is because the dark forces are getting very desperate. They can't hide themselves anymore. So there's a lot of this thing going on, and a lot of bombardment with fear. This is the end of times. It's game over. You cannot. I'm like, yeah, I can. And so the only focus I think is, or the focus I have, is to get out of the mainstream media loop. Because nowadays we can't trust anything with AI. So I have no idea what is true being fed through these screens in front of me. So I don't even engage there. What I do is I focus on inner balance. And then when in certain areas of these things where suddenly I feel this urge and energy and inspiration to expose that specific point of some of this stuff, I go full on in. And sort of like in and then out again, boom. So for me I don't understand this whole thing about that it would be time to sort of slow down or to not at all, relax more maybe, but then use the experience along the way to be efficient, but without using so much effort, because the less we struggle, the less we fight, the easier it goes. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
No.
But also I think it's a matter of honor. Like, who are you? Who do you want to be? Have you become the one that you want to be? Is there anything left for you? I mean, instead of being in the head all the time, ask in your heart, if you should die tomorrow or in an hour, would you be fine with that? Like, if this meat suit says thank you and game over, boom, is this enough for you, or are there things that needs to be said, actions that needs to be done? Is there anything unhealed, anything unforgiven? Of course, it can always get better and better, but I try to live my life so that if it happens now, boom, that I would leave this earth and just say, oh my God, what a ride. I've had it all. I've had romance, traumas, death and destruction and joy, and I've got it all. So is there anyone, have I stolen anything? Have I lied? Is there anything that anyone that I would ask forgiveness, or anyone I would need to forgive, or, like, just make it so that most of the time that everything is as pure as it can, and then just get on with it and enjoy life. The thing is, it's a beautiful, beautiful life. If you stop watching these screens in front of you and you look out the window, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're very fortunate in Bali.
Oh,
I mean, after 40 years of doing this and what you've done and where you've been in your life, what makes life better?
What makes life better? It's the mindset, isn't it? I mean, with the right mindset, you live in paradise. With the wrong mindset, you live in hell. So it's like the choice is yours.
And I also think surrounding yourself with like-minded people, surrounding yourself with the right people, I think that gets more and more important to me as I as I go.
I really agree with you, Mark, and it's also this why it's a joy speaking to you like this, because it's sort of like there's no friction, there's no headbutting. It's just a matter of words flowing like this, and then hopefully both of us leave and feel empowered and like, yeah, that was a good one, So yeah, I agree, but I feel that many people seem to be isolating themselves at the moment. It's sort of like a breathe in time. There's been so much breathing out, like. And now it's sort of like to get to the next level where I hope we're close to the end of the book of Revelations, and boom, the golden age is going to be here in the form of oneness, which is, I can't wait for that to happen.
Well, I think that's a good place to finish up. Oneness, coming together, interconnectedness, light.
So, Mark, can I finish with a prayer? It's a prayer that I heard Melanie, our teacher, and to start with, it took me years to really understand it, but it goes like this. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May everyone, and especially the ones who hurt you, be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness. So victory to that light.
Amen.
Amen. And
all right, thank you, Ole. We appreciate your time, and for those that are interested, we'll put the links below in the show notes for the retreat and for the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark.